Hi there. This is a reaction video to the first uh, reaction video today from of Tom MacDonald. This one is from Brad and Lex, and it's the song "I'm Sorry." So let's see how
Your
they.
best
I haven't heard
friends
the
are
song
dead
before.
ends.
I've heard the other ones, but I haven't heard this one.
All right, back with some more Tom McDonald. I'm sorry. Let's get into it.
Okay, wait. The colors with the blue behind Lex there with the lights is just perfect. You know what I mean? It matches her shirt, and it's a nice effect. It really is. That luminous blue behind the couch there. If you notice, I have something behind me today. I learned two songs on that. It was my last my last thing on my bucket list, which I finished a couple of years ago, and now that's I'm just doing whatever now because once you finish your bucket list and you're not you're still here, it's like okay, what's next? So this is apparently next for the time being. But on my bucket list, the last thing I fulfilled was learning how to play Fur Elise by Beethoven. I also learned how to play uh, uh, Imagine by John Lennon. Then I learned them, and within a month, Fifi came into my life just by circumstance. I mean, it was a circumstance of events that led her to come into my house. And she was still a kitten, but she came from like she was lucky to be alive when she came to me. Judging by her first 6 weeks of her life, that she was insane, and so the story unfolds. She drove me nuts for the first year of her life, wanting to go out and in heat and all this nonsense. Well, she initially when she first, but to make a long story short, I mean, but I have Bubba, her son now, and so we're quite happy. But when she first moved into my house or came into my house, I was playing the piano, the keyboard every day, and I learned those two songs quite well, and I was quite proud of myself. But she wouldn't let me play anymore, so I kept on trying to play, and she was just like crazy, meowing and jumping on me on the keyboard or whatever. She just would not let me continue to play, and I about 2 months later, 3 months later, I pulled out the keyboard and I don't know if she was in the other room or something. I thought I could get a quick try at playing my two songs that I had learned, and I literally could not remember how to play even the first key. So there you be. I'm happy. She's happy. There's my keyboard resting in peace behind me.
Honestly, y'all have been killing my confidence. All of the negative comments and gossip, it's hard to imagine the stress that I'm under. I'm sorry for all of this. I'm sorry for spitting the truth. Sorry for dissing that dude. Sorry for missing the point of the criticism. I was blinded by diamonds and loot. I
Okay, I just have one question. Does anybody know that tattooed Emily? Who it's for? I guess it's one of his exes. I know no quarter is just when you're in a war, in a battle, or even with one opponent, you show no mercy. Basically, it's Led Zeppelin has a song called No Quarter as well. Okay.
apologize to all you guys. Y'all were right. I was out my mind. I went too far.
Okay.
He's trolling.
What is going on here?
I don't believe it.
Me either. I'm not buying it. But he could be serious. He
It would
could
be
be.
understandable if he was serious. Like, I'm sure people come for him.
I think he was serious about.
I just noticed your two dogs sitting beside you there, Brad, and they look so peaceful and so calm, and they blend in so well that, 46 seconds in, I just noticed them, and I'm a bit of a wild animal. I notice things out when they pass by, just like my cats. It's like you don't miss a thing around here. We're all wild-eyed. We all spent time in the wild. We our senses are quite in tune to picking up things. Prey or natural things as well. But anyways, though, anyways, what was I saying? Great add to your set. Great ad. If I could only get Fifi to sit on my chest or Bubba, but they won't. They're too wild. They're not. Love rubbing up against me and all that kind of stuff, but they don't like being picked up. Neither of them, like whatsoever. They remind me of my Wolf Cross Micmac up in Yukon. He wouldn't let me touch him. Well, mind you, he was. Well, he did, but he didn't. He was wild. It's just not. I mean, we think petting animals is just normal and all that. It isn't. In the wild. It's unacceptable. Micmac educated me quite quickly on what I can do and what I can't do, and basically it was feed me, fuck off. That was his not in a negative way or anything like that, but it's like I'm a wild animal. You don't need to touch me. Okay. But I mean, I love Micmac. He was my soulmate, I swear. And he was wild. I mean, he lived out on my balcony and had a nice big foam mattress on the balcony there. And he would sooner sleep outside when it was -40 than inside my cabin. He had the option. We would only come in to eat, and then he would look at me, open the fucking door, monkey, and I would open the door and he'd fuck off. And that was the story of our relationship. He'd come in, eat, beautiful creature, like just be- but when he would eat, he would take bit by bit, like nibble by nibble by nibble. He ate like the most gentlest creature in the world. He was. I mean, we would walk down the road, and if a neighbor's dog down in the distance, I mean, it was a sparse neighborhood. I mean, we were all around a lake at the time, and if one of the neighbor's dogs came at Micmac, which unfortunately a couple of them did, well, he finished them, so to speak. He wasn't a fighter, like he wasn't like a Doberman or a Rottweiler that was all teeth and barking and all that. He was quiet. It was scary. It was like a surreal moment. I can remember these two Dobermans came at him, and I told Micmac, just wait till they come on the road, so to speak. As soon as they leave the property, it's open territory. And they came off the property, and he ripped open their bellies, both of them. And I had them coming at me and him with rifles. And then he did it. Then there was another dog down the road. I think it was just a black lab, big black lab, mean fucking dog. He would run out on the street anytime. Even if a kid walked out on the street, he'd come out and bark and get vicious. Well, he unfortunately ran out on the street when me and Micmac were walking by, and it was horrible. I mean, you can't do anything because it's over before it even begins. And Micmac doesn't make a sound. He would just. I've never seen like wild animals. They're not into the macho fight. Like dogs, they'll go to each other's face and try to rip each other's. It's like guys fighting. I mean, we aim for the head when we should be aiming for the gut or the solar plexus or the nuts or the neck or the throat or you know what I mean. I mean, we fight fair. Well, I fight fair. I did fight fair. We grew up in a neighborhood where if we had a problem with someone, we'd step outside and settle it, and we'd come back friends. That was life. I've lost track what I was going to say. Micmac. Okay, what was I going to say about Micmac? Oh, when he attacked, it was quiet, and it was just, it was like it's like slow motion. All of a sudden hits you, and you see him just like in slow motion go. Even though it's super fast, it's like slow motion. I know it's bizarre, and before you know it, the intestines of that was a chocolate lab. I just no, that was maybe on the other far distance. If you found me, like figured it out that it was Micmac from another neighbor, a year before or something like that. And that her dog had, unfortunately, stepped out into the wild and, as it was, met his end. Well, me and Micmac made it safely out of there. I'm telling you, I stood in front of Micmac, with a shotgun in my face. I mean, he wasn't trying to kill me; he was trying to kill my dog. And I told the fellow, I said, "Look, I can understand what you're saying. Micmac steps off my property and onto your property. Have at him. Good luck. Your dog stepped off his property, off your property, into the wild. You know, if it's the road or if it's the bush, it's no longer your property. We're in the fucking Yukon. There's bears and wolves and coyotes and me and Micmac." Anyways, that's I don't know what evoked that thought, but oh, they're two pets, I guess. They look just lovely there. Anyways, back to the video.
So I'm sorry for dissing that dude. I think he's serious about that. I think he is.
What do you call that? A diss challenge? Whoa.
I think he's serious about that one. Some of the other ones I think he's playing around, but he might be.
To this day, this was filmed in August 2019. To this day, if you Google Mac Lethal, images come up of hats that say Mac Lethal sucks. And like Tom MacDonald's website. And like all kinds of, it's just like, dang, that dude is in the dirt.
I apologize to all you guys. Y'all were right. I was out my mind. I went too far. I did too much. The haters were right when they said I suck. I did my best. It did nothing for me. I gave my guts and got lost in glory. I'm standing here while you sit before me. There's nothing left but to say I'm sorry.
There we
Well,
go.
I'm enjoying that
There's that mischievous smile
religious
right
music
there.
in the background there.
He's having fun playing with everyone's emotions.
The haters probably watch this like, finally, he put something out
Right.
that, has some humanity.
Right? And he's just laughing like to take them on a roller coaster.
Isn't it just weird though how like I feel like right now, at least in this day and age, there's like literally two kinds of people. There's people who literally are in that like, he needs to apologize and like in that space, and then there like the other perspective does not like, it's just a whole different league of like thought. You know
What do you mean? Like, you have the I'm sorry's and the others?
Basic, like you have the people he's describing, right, and how these people feel, and then you have everyone else. But the people who feel that way don't understand how he cannot be sorry. You know what I
Right,
mean?
true,
Like
true,
they
true.
literally like, and like if their world was like the size of an apple, then you have this other world that's like infinite. Like there's so many different perspectives other than the apple that's sorry.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm
You're basically
saying?
saying some people live in a bubble.
Yeah, I feel like the bubble though doesn't realize that like there's so many other perspectives, and like they can literally not feel actually sorry for feeling how they feel, and they're like, I have my opinion, you have yours, but like in that bubble, it's like you're not allowed to have another opinion.
You don't realize.
That's one of the things Tom is speaking of, but you're bringing it forth beautifully there, Lex. I think that's what's wrong with the state of affairs these days. Everybody's living in their own, their own bubble, and they're not stepping outside, outside their bubble or their box to see other things. I mean, I don't mean to be to bring up a sore spot with Brad, but earlier on in some of the videos that I watched, I could tell that he had never really listened to rock and roll, and that to me is a perfect example of someone living in a bubble. I like it just bothers me that here's two beautiful people who love music obviously, but for some reason in their environment where they grew up, nobody had it in their their discography, or their album set, or their cassette tape, or whatever. I don't know their parents or their childhood per se, but he admittedly says that he has no idea of rock and roll. I mean, he doesn't know any of the genres or the main players or the history. Obviously, he wouldn't even know the history of it. I mean, my goodness, I wouldn't be the same person today without rock and roll. I mean, all of the beautiful songs that sunk into my brain when I was younger and made me think the way I like. For example, there's a song called "Closer to the Heart" by Rush. It's a very old song. It's a very Canadian song. It's one of the first hits, and as a child or as a teenager growing up in Canada, Rush was big And that song, just the words in the song, touch me. And they have so many beautiful songs like Limelight, Tom Sawyer, and all the songs have deep meaning, and they're really hard rock. But it's really, but the lyrics are, the drummer Neil Peart is the lyricist of the group, and he wrote all the lyrics to the songs, and he had such a he passed away unfortunately a little while ago, but he had such a way with like he had such a, I wouldn't say hope, but he had such a vision that, you know, that for humanity, that there was a way. We just have to learn, you know, we have to, in a sense, you know, burst our bubbles so that we can see the whole world.
Realize you're in the bubble, because looking out from the bubble is clear. You just see through it, and you don't realize you're in the bubble.
Exactly.
That's a
Exactly.
great,
But
that is a great, great, great analogy there, Brad. That was just
okay,
perfect.
so then is everyone outside the bubble in this infinite space, or are they just in a bigger bubble and still don't know they're in a bubble?
That I don't know.
Like, how would we know we're in just a bigger bubble?
Okay, I don't know.
How would we know? How would we know?
We wouldn't.
It's not like everyone else has infinite wisdom.
That's true. I
Like
mean,
most, if not all of us, are in a bubble of some sort. It just may be a decent size.
the dome.
Exactly. A simulation.
It's in a simulation. That's what it is. Oh,
Sorry, that doesn't bother me. I don't know anybody, an apology. I don't have no regrets in my biology. Reload and shoot for the stars, y'all look like astronomy. No one as hot as me, copy me commonly. Wannabes, y'all are so shockingly comedy. Carry the weight of my songs all on top of me. I will not break, I'm not made out of pottery. Bury your bodies on acres of property. Place them at angles like sacred geometry. Down with the modesty, everything I drop is quality. Promise, like honestly, follow me.
Okay, this is more what I expected.
this is what I expected. Wow.
But he didn't get us with that intro. Like, we're starting to understand who
Yeah.
Tom is, so we're like,
We are.
this dude joking. He playing
Right.
around. I don't have no regrets in my biology.
I like that.
Mm,
You shouldn't.
the energy.
You shouldn't.
But you can learn from your mistakes without having regret. I feel like it's unhealthy to be regretful. I don't want to feel like that. I could have messed something up. Like, dang, I messed that up. I'm gonna learn from that.
Right.
But I don't have to like be living in the feeling of regret.
Right.
I'm good on that.
Right. And so the way I took it too was like generations back. Like it's like if you live in regret, then like what kind of genes do you pass on?
Mm.
You know, so it's like what if his great grandpa had a lot of regrets? Like, and it's like there's no way to know, but it's like it's interesting to have that perspective. You
Or
know?
like epigenetics or something.
Yeah.
Where you're just kind of passing down that energy of regret.
Yeah.
You're teaching your kids how
Right.
to behave.
Right.
And I like how he did the astronomy, shooting the stars. Then he goes to sacred.
Isn't that the? I mean, my, you know, there's a line from one of Tom's songs where, you know, he'd happily pass out free condoms to his generation because he's so fed, just disappointed in his own generation. And oh gosh, I just plumb forgot what I was going to say. I have to go back here just so I can refresh my mind. Sorry about that. Let's just see what you were
Have
saying.
that perspective. You
Or
know?
like epigenetics or something.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
you're just kind of passing down that energy of regret.
Yeah.
You're teaching your kids how
Right.
to behave.
Right.
And I like how he did the astronomy, shooting the stars. Then he goes to sacred geometry a few bars later.
Right. Bury your bodies in sacred geometry. I was like,
Angles like sacred geometry, down with the modesty. Everything I drop is quality. Promise, like honestly, follow me. I ain't gonna stop when the hits come rock with a kid on block like Pac with a bin. I'm a guy with a bin, no cops to the crib, got guap cause I'm awesome at this. Underrated, overpaid, they hate it. Complicated calculations made to rake the paper. Razor sharp like blades and Freddy versus Jason. Angels in my heart of Satan in the basement. Brains and handsome faces, what has made me famous.
Okay, I haven't. This is the one song that I have not heard by Tom MacDonald, and I just heard a bar that I need to hear again. So
sacred geometry. I was like,
Angles angles like sacred geometry. Down with the modesty. Everything I drop is quality. Promise, like honestly, follow me. I ain't gonna stop when the hits come rock with a kid on block like Pac with a bin. I'm a guy with a bin. No cops to the crib. Got guap cause I'm awesome at this. Underrated, overpaid, they hate it. Complicated calculations made to rake the paper. Razor sharp like blades and Freddy versus Jason. Angels in my heart of Satan in the basement. Brains and hands.
Okay, that last part. 531, let's just say 5. I think it'll be right there.
Underrated, overpaid, they hate it. Complicated calculations made to rake the paper. Razor sharp like blades and Freddy versus Jason. Angels in my heart of Satan in the basement. Brains and hands.
Okay, I still can't get it. But...
Face is what has made me famous. Great imagination, fatal combination. Labels on the daily. I've been on vacation. Basic translation is I don't give up. Sorry.
That's the TLDR.
Wow. What?
Like too long didn't read.
Oh,
His basic
yeah.
translation.
Yeah.
It's the TLDR.
Wow. I like the energy.
Right. That was a good translation. That's
Isn't
basically
it weird?
what
Isn't
all
it
that meant.
weird? So many people think that, like, basically modern day, you're a bully. Like, he would be a bully.
Oh yeah.
But if you think back
Well, he
to,
would be
like,
considered a bully.
he'd be considered a bully. But it's like, if you think back to the 90s, you think about growing up, who's a bully and who's not. He would
Right.
definitely not be a bully.
Right. He'd just be a dude.
Kids are growing up just so, like, confused modern day.
Yep.
Because it's like, literally, if they think this is a bully, then, like, they don't know what a bully is like.
Right.
Mm.
Especially with the whole Mac Lethal beef. He didn't start it. Like, yeah, he did the first diss track, but it started with the tweets and pretending he wasn't talking about time when he wasn't, all that stuff. That's what started. So I wouldn't even consider him a bully in that one, even though it just...
Right.
It felt a little like, oh, you know
right.
what I mean?
But it was more like Mac Lethal. Like, it was literally what he was saying. You know, you feel bad for the dude because he doesn't realize how, like, dumb the stuff he's saying is.
Right.
Like, it wasn't even, it was just like, you know what I mean? It was just like, he just didn't realize he couldn't compete lyrically.
Right. It's almost like he didn't realize the audience he was dissing for.
Right. Right. And so that's sad. It's sad to watch somebody just, like, fall on their face, you know? Like,
You like to see a good game, you know what I mean?
Right, right. Seem like a nice person, you know what I mean?
I think the best diss that I've seen, I don't want to, I mean, I even feel old saying the word diss because it's not from my generation, which is, you know, my goodness, if generations are every 20 years, my generation, I guess your generation is when you're in your 20s, so we're talking like 30 years ago. I forgot what I was going to say. What was I going to say? I gotta remember what they were just saying.
Compete lyrically.
Right. It's almost like he didn't realize the audience he was dissing for.
Right, right. And so that's sad. It's sad to watch somebody just, like, fall on their face, you know? Like,
You like to see a good game, you know what I mean?
Right, right. Seem like a...
Oh, that's it. MGK, or Machine Gun Kelly. His diss, it's not a word that I would normally use, but it's an appropriate word here, of Eminem was perfect. It was on target. It was spot on, and he did that like it was like what do you call it? Free whatever. You know what I'm talking about? What's the word? Free, not free version, but I can't think of the words. Basically, what Eminem 20 years ago brought forth, and now rappers like NF. Tom MacDonald and MGK are it's like the next generation of rap, which we all have to attribute to Eminem and Dre and Snoop Dogg, so to speak, because that was that combination that brought it forth. You know what I mean? And I don't know so much Snoop Dogg, but it was Dr. Dre definitely that made it happen for just like Usher made it happen for Justin Bieber. I've lost track of what I was going to say.
a nice person, you know what I mean? Then you're just walking into the grocery store and face planting.
No,
yeah.
I don't know what it seemed like. You still want to see a good game.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't want to see a blowout.
No.
Daily, I've been on vacation. Basic translation is I don't give up. Sorry, I got a point of view. It's like a pistol, you don't want to point at you. Y'all are annoying, dude. Y'all are like rats racing in a gas chamber. Y'all can't avoid the fuse. Y'all in a cage lock, my deranged thoughts. I like Ray Charles with the chainsaws. Cause your brain chopped into 8 parts to go face off. Hit the graveyard.
What?
Hold on, I gotta run it back 10 seconds on that one. But he said, sorry, I got a point of view. It's like a pistol, you don't want to point at you. I was like, oh, that was nasty.
I like that.
That was nasty. Then he said something about y'all are like Ray Charles waving chainsaws. Da 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 da. I don't know what he said to that, but when he said
I gotta get that
Ray
one.
Charles waving chainsaws, I just kind of stopped listening. Like, oh my goodness!
Can you imagine? He makes the imagination like go crazy.
Right?
Like, he paints a picture.
It's racing in a gas chamber. Y'all can't avoid the fuse. Y'all in a cage lock, my deranged thoughts. I like Ray Charles with the chainsaws. Cause your brain chopped into 8 parts to go face off. Hit the graveyard on my days off. I just cock aim and I spray shots till your legs lock and your veins pop. In a day's work, I'll get laid off. My girl shot every single video. My heart wrote every single song. Y'all are my children, my kids will be indigo. Obviously, I'm a God, lock will be awfully cocky, cocking the goblin, shotgun and coffee, slaughtering lots and I'm offering coffins to anyone caught talking sloppy about me. Yeah, come rock with the kid, young poppin' and rich, got dollars, a cop in the drip. I'm donning the armor and authoring honor while bombing the targets that karma has missed. Hey, y'all don't comprehend, I'm often on the
Hold up. Bombing the targets that karma has missed.
Dang.
He said, y'all are my children will be indigo. I don't remember what the whole indigo child thing was about. I don't. Do you?
I remember.
You know, like some people say they're indigo children or something.
Yeah.
I remember he said something like, I'm a God, my children will be indigo, something to that effect. I just don't remember the whole indigo. I haven't heard of that in a minute. Well, this is 2019. It's been a few years since I heard of it. Remember that was like everyone was saying they're indigo.
Starseed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess it's like starseed. I guess it's some kind of like special holy. I don't remember. I may be pushing it.
Special.
But
some
yeah,
type of.
as long as you have some superpowers or
came
something.
to his planet to save it or something.
Right.
Yeah, come rock with the kid, young poppin' and rich, got dollars, a cop in the drip. I'm donning the armor and authoring honor while bombing the targets that karma has missed. Hey, y'all don't comprehend, I'm often on the mend. I'm depressed a lot, I've wrecked a lot of people who were friends. I've been anxious, I've had breakdowns that were all inside my head. I regret a lot of things, now I won't stop till I'm avenged. Knock knock, who's...
Hold up. He said, I'm depressed a lot. I've wrecked a lot of people who were my friends. And they went into the whole mental health part. Like, dang. I feel like, okay, when you have a point of view like him, you do lose a lot of friends.
You do.
You do. And it sucks. But life goes on.
Some of them lose themselves, though.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. I mean,
Didn't you two just mention in one of your earlier videos that since this COVID thing, you've learned a lot about the friends that you had that you no longer have because of the situation? It's when shit hits the fan, you find out who's there and who's not, and it's. We're all experienced that now to a degree. We all have to retreat into our own little circles now, just for safety reasons. We need our screens against possible infection. And if you can trust your circle of friends that aren't going to go out into a bar, Thursday night and come back and to your house on Friday for dinner, having shared the air with 10 people that are sneezing, but yet nobody knows because everybody's partying, dancing, and shouting in a discotheque or whatever the hell it is. It's weird, you were talking earlier about bubbles, but in a sense, we are now all back in our bubbles for safety reasons, and I think that's the crux of it, isn't it? Is that we stick to what we know and who we know, and what reflects, what we think and how we act, and for the most part, we don't go beyond that. I mean, the only reason I left Montreal was my life was a nightmare. It was like I needed to believe that there was something more out there because nothing went right for me. And as soon as I left that city and you know headed out west, my life began to unfold, and I found myself. I mean, it took years and whatnot, and lots of adventure, but it was all worth it. But I had to leave my bubble. My bubble was a nightmare. It just never ended. From birth to the time I left, it just never got better. It was just, it's like, after 20, I guess, when did I leave? It was, oh goodness, I don't know what I was, 20, mid 20s, I guess, 25, 26, something like that. I don't know what it was, something like that. But I had enough. Anything you can imagine that can happen to a human being happened, and then some, and it was just like, where do you go from here? It's just everything is almost like I was living in a black cloud, or I had a black cloud that just would not leave me. It just wouldn't leave me. It didn't matter what I said or what I did or how do I behave. It was always there. But when I left Montreal, I mean, I think it was just the adventure itself was the key, the main ingredient that brought me back to life. It was just like, wow, what else is out there? Because literally, I knew up until that point, all I knew was a negative world. Like, literally, my first 25 years of my life were just negative. There was just, like, I mean, I did a lot of things and adventures and all that kind of thing, but I was under a black cloud for the whole time. And it wasn't until I left and found myself that black cloud, when I came back to Montreal, yeah, it was 10 years later, but I came back 7 years later and to Toronto just to let people know that I was still. Because when I left, I didn't. I gave no. I mean, I was adopted when I was 8 years old, so it was in my nature to leave without work because I left. The first 8 years of my life, I was in foster home, so it's in my nature to leave one home into the next home and never see or hear from the people again. They were my, so-called guardians, parents, whatever, whoever they were, wherever it was. But I mean, I would, spend 6 months with them and then a year with another family. When you're 2 or 3 years old, this is like, okay, and not everybody's, all of these environments are exactly inspected before they sent me into them, so to speak. And so I went through all of those homes and families until I was adopted when I was 8. And then when then life just got even worse, if you could believe that. It was more of a mental state. The mental state hit me. It's just up until I was 8 years old, it was just like it was like a pinball just bouncing from one thing to another thing. But when I got adopted, all of a sudden there was some concrete. I was not moving anymore. And it had a negative effect on me. And, I was already a damaged child, and so anyone who made an attempt to hug me or whatever is like, no, you cannot touch me. Not in the sense that there's nothing in me to receive it. I never learned what you would take for granted. Being held in it. Like most children, they're comfortable with being because they were held by their mother, and they were loved by their parents or their siblings or whatnot. I had nothing, nobody. I was just alone. Like, I mean, you can't. Like, alone. Like, no, not even a society, not even a culture or a group of people, who generally would group together because of race, color, or creed to help out, orphans or despondent children or whatever, or homeless child. But I didn't have that because I mean, the very reason why I couldn't get adopted for the first 8 years of my life was because of race and religion. I mean, I'm half Jewish and half, I guess, white or Christian, whatever you call it. I mean, my mother was Irish or Scottish Irish. My father was Jewish, and she had me out of wedlock. And when the doctor, she was set to give me away for adoption or whatever, for the possibility of adoption, they put on the child's my birth card or whatever, father's ancestry, Jewish. That was, and I met her like 30 years later, and she had 40 years. I guess I was 40. I guess 40s, my late 40s, I think it was, or I can't remember. But I did meet her eventually. I tracked her down, and when I told her what happened to me, that I didn't get adopted until I was 8 years old, she couldn't believe that, and she knew me. First thing she said was, "I should never have put down that Heeb's name," and she was a racist herself, and she knew that was why I couldn't get adopted. And that's the environment I grew up in, very racist environment. But it was, I mean, I grew up using racial slurs, and most of them were Jewish racial slurs. I have no idea why the West Island in Montreal was anti anti-Semitic, but I think it was everywhere in Montreal at that time. It was just people were generally anti-Semitic and racist. Where Archie Bunker was still a very big reality in my world. Plus, because I'm an English kid in a French province, I had that also working against me because I didn't know the language, and I was brought up and through the Ville Marie Social Services and the Bath Shaw later on, but it was in a French world, and I've totally forgotten what I was going to say there, but I've lost track. I have no idea what point I was making.
It's not like you're kicking them out of your life; they kick themselves out.
But also, if your perspective develops into that, like you kind of develop to a place where that is your perspective, I feel like they feel like you switched up.
Right.
But you did.
Well, I mean, I don't consider growth switching up.
Right. That's what I'm saying, though. But I'm starting to feel like when people say people switched up, it's mostly growth.
It is. It's like, okay, let's say you have a huge friend group, and they all really, really, really believe in Santa Claus. And you did, too. Mm-hmm. And then one day you're like, I found out Santa Claus is not real. They're going to be like, you switched up. Right. And you're going to be like, what? I grew. Right. Like, I realized Santa Claus is not real. I grew up.
Right.
But they consider that a switch up.
Because in their world, they can't see the difference between learning and growing and...
Well, I wouldn't say overall. not like people are incapable of seeing people learn and grow.
Well, that's it. It's people can't accept it. It's the differences. Once you start seeing a difference in someone, the separation starts. That's why I'm not a fan of religions or philosophies or anything that separates you from someone else. Even nationhood. Even though I'm a proud Canadian, and you guys obviously love your country and all that, I think that needs to be secondary. It shouldn't be, face front. Where some people hug the flag, or constantly pound their country as the great whatever. At the end of the day, we're all people on this planet, and everything else is just make believe. We're all these lines and divisions, whether it's religion or nationality or language. Language is a big one. You'd be surprised how I can relate to black people, or to to Asian people, or to any type, any people. when we speak English. You know what I mean? But when you can't understand the other person, there has to be another familiarity so that you can relate to at least on some level. You know what I mean? And it's I have no idea where I'm going with this.
For real, I feel like that is like an inside the bubble perspective. People say people switched up when they grew because they can't tell when the snake is in their backyard. The snake was never on your team, but now that snake equals, you know, a friend, and like you growing and changing, it will switch up. You know what I'm saying?
I agree 100%. I'm just saying. You said they can't tell the difference between learning and growing. I'm saying they can tell in some areas, just in this specific area, because it's against their beliefs. They don't see it as learning and growing. It's not like they are like literally incapable. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to paint like these people as like anybody's just capable. Like droids.
No, anybody's capable.
Right.
Because I mean, you used to believe in Santa Claus too.
Right.
So anybody can do it, but it's just like it's crazy how that works.
I'm saying they can see learning and growth in other areas, just not the blind spot based on the belief system.
That's true.
I regret a lot of things, now I won't stop till I'm avenged. Knock, knock, who's there? Y'all around and let death in. I'm John Lennon, I'm Michael Jackson, I'm Cobain, I'm Zeppelin. Your best friends are dead ends, your best bets are far-fetched. Your next best, I'm a gold trophy. Your death threats were ghost stories.
Ooh. Okay. We gotta digest that last part. That was cool.
Your best friends are dead ends. So did he just like trim off some of the dead weight in his friend groups, or did they do the whole typical thing like, oh, I can't believe you think like that, blocked? You know what I mean? It may have been either or, because he's like, your best friends are dead ends. Maybe he wanted to surround himself with different people, you know what I mean, that can challenge his beliefs, help him grow, and things like that. And he's blaming people who have best friends that lead you nowhere.
But then he was like, your death threats were ghost stories. Like, I'm Kurt Cobain, I'm Michael Jackson. Like, he's all these dead artists.
And then he goes, your best friends are dead ends. And then later, your death threats are ghost stories. So, like, there's no weight to them. So your death threats are meaningless.
Okay.
That's the way I interpret it.
Yeah. That was layered. That was layered.
Yeah. If we listen to it again, like right now, we'll hear so much more. Because then half of the punchlines were so hard, I didn't hear what came next. I was taken aback by something that was so hard. I was like, ooh.
Right.
I know I missed what came next.
Right. That's like the crazy thing about first time reactions. It's
right. Right.
You miss so much so that when you go back to appreciate the song, you're like, oh, I wish I had said that.
You could only dive so deep.
You can only dive so deep. It's like we're definitely going to re-listen, and it's going to be like totally different.
Right. You're going to hear totally new things.
Yeah. But okay, so the weird thing to me is that, like, how do we close this, like, sort of knowledge gap, for lack of better words? Like, the people Tom is talking to, they're not going to hear him because they already hate him.
Right.
But his message is, I have nothing to be sorry about. This is my opinion. So his message isn't anything, like, actually hateful.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, like, yes, he did say, you know, some stuff that's, like, you know, put your bodies in sacred geometry, stuff like that. But it's, like, that's all artistic and whatever. But it's, like, his actual, like, the reason why they hate him is because of his opinion. Which isn't, like, aggressive. So, like, how do we close this knowledge gap of, like, people understanding his opinion doesn't hurt you? It's an opinion.
Talk.
An inanimate. Like, something that is not hurting you.
I don't know how you get through to people, like, that deeply. I feel like that whole getting triggered and not listening thing is very deep emotional stuff for people. So, I don't know. I feel like talking and having level-headed conversations is a start. Like, hearing other people's point of views. I don't know.
You guys, we introduced my little brother to Politically Incorrect. And this makes me think about that video. We haven't released it yet because it is just kind of...
It's a long video.
Yeah, it's a long video.
40 minutes?
It was like 40 minutes. And I feel like he's doing the like triggered and doesn't listen. You know?
Well, her little brother is woke, so it was conversation with wokeness.
Yeah.
That's the best way to
Yeah.
describe it.
Yeah, and we don't even know if you guys would even want to see it, because I mean it's like it's interesting because we both have little brothers and they're actually friends. It's like your little brother is like
Is awake.
awake.
Your little brother is
and
woke.
My little brother is woke.
Super woke.
Super woke. But yeah, I don't know. Let us know if you guys want to see it and if you're interested.
I do.
Yeah, I was nervous about that one because I also didn't want to just like throw him under the bus.
Right.
You know what I mean?
For sure, because I mean, it is like okay, when you actually sit down and have a conversation, it's like triggered. I can't hear anything you're saying. Nothing makes sense to me. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It literally is like a thing modern day.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how to bridge that communication gap. I don't know. Some people are more open to it than others.
Right.
And the people who are not open to it, I don't know if they ever will be.
It's almost like protection mechanism. Like I don't want to see the world outside the bubble because the bubble is safe.
Right, but there's also not everyone who doesn't think like Tom is the triggered meme.
Right.
I know people who
yeah.
think differently than me and they understand how I think and they just disagree. But you can have a level-headed conversation with them. I feel like you know who you're dealing with by the conversation you have. If you have a conversation, you just can't have a level-headed conversation at all, then okay, this person they're not going to hear it. They're going to get triggered by anything you say.
Which I feel like that's the danger zone right there. Because it's like, I think, a whole bunch of different perspectives is actually really healthy for society. Like, it's dangerous to get too far into, like, everybody thinking the same in any way. Like, everyone should have, a variety of perspectives because we all grow up different. We all have different lives and
But
values.
there should be some core beliefs
But
that
yeah,
kind of like unify the country as a whole.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, like the Constitution. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's some core principles that like, oh yeah, we all mess with this.
Right.
But we have differences in experience and opinions on how certain things should be. And,
right, for sure. For sure. But I feel like the danger that comes is when, like, people become, like, weaponized by beliefs to where they can't act in their own best interest anymore.
Right.
And I feel like when this just made me think about that because it's like, I feel like in the beginning, that's exactly what they want him to take a knee and they want him to, like, just kind of submit. And so it's like, dang. How is that satisfying though? You know what I mean? When you know somebody feels a certain way but they just give up. Do you really believe that they really just gave up on their perspective? Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like the sort of mindset where literally you want somebody to just like, okay, I was a racist and whatever, but not anymore.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just like, what? And that's satisfying that you now can walk through your life and like trust and believe that you truly won. Like that to me is a little bit off the deep end. So.
But I don't think they want everyone to agree with them. I think some of the people on the ground who have been weaponized do want that. But I think the powers that be want the fighting. Yeah. Always fighting. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But that's the tricky part is the people that are weaponized on the ground not acting in their own best interest and just like sort of, you know what I mean? Just like blocking out information, like staying in that bubble. Because, I mean, they're still going to deal with consequences and everything else from that.
Yeah, but we're living in a world now where, I mean, most of the talking heads are agent provocateurs. You know what I mean? They're doing their damnedest to separate people. I mean, let's say, I never heard of. I heard of Ben Shapiro before, but I never, was indifferent to him. It was just a name that I heard, in the past year or two for some reason. I don't know where I heard it. But then I saw one of Tom MacDonald's songs, and I saw the one of the lines, "Facts don't matter." Or what's the line? It says, not facts don't matter. Facts. I can't remember what it was, but it hit me because there's a line in one of my books where I say, "Fuck feelings." I couldn't give a fuck about feelings. Only facts matter. And so his line, I saw it and I thought, oh, yeah, that's very interesting. I could relate to it. And then somehow or somewhere, I got Ben Shapiro popped up in one of. I was looking at one of Tom MacDonald's videos, and a video of Ben Shapiro or an interview or whatever of him popped up, and the very line that Tom uses is the line from Ben Shapiro. So he incorporated like I guess a talking point for the state of affairs that we're in right now, and I don't want to lose track here. Okay, so Tom got his. He was inspired by a Ben Shapiro podcast, whatever it was, and he picked up on that one line specifically. And it's a line that I can relate to. It's a good line. But it's because we have so many, like, Tom's influenced by Ben Shapiro, but he's also fortunately influenced by a lot of other people out there and a lot of his own past that, like rock and roll, which I can see coming out of him now. And thank goodness that he has that in him. But there are people out there, that are antagonists. They're like Ben Shapiro or these guys on Fox. They're Tucker Carlson and Mr. Joe America. He thinks he's what's his name there? I can't remember his name. But they're always spewing out this negativity. The first, there's even some of these women like Tommy Lahren and Keely McKelly, whatever, the former speaker of the, not speaker, but the mouthpiece for former administration. She was the one that would come up to the microphone. I can't remember what they call that. Anyways, she's now another talking head on Fox. So they all come together and it's everything they say is negative. It's the first thing that hits you is a negativity towards the other side. And you've got these people constantly listening to this negativity. And it's on the left side, it's the same bloody thing, where they're upset about this or, they cancel that and, freak out about this and that. It's a mess. It is a real mess. And, but the thing is, it's, people feed off this, and it's gotten to the point where we've got so much else in the world that's fucking us up, like COVID, that instinctively we're pulling back into our safe spots. We have to, you know what I mean? But if your safe spot is controlled by one way of thinking, we're in trouble here. We're in big trouble, because if we're going to go forward, as as countries and evolve into the future, we're going the wrong direction, because people are becoming more tribal, so to speak. They're becoming more. They're digging more in their own trenches, and look what happened. What date was that? January 6th, was it, or the day that your institution, your political institutions were under attack. I mean, these guys, I couldn't believe what I was saying, but they literally had no fear or not like it was almost like it was meant to be. And I'm thinking, there's only one way that could happen, is if that their mind is so closed and they're in such a tunnel vision, they cannot see the wrong that's happening. They cannot see what's come of them. You know what I mean? They're just caught up in this wave, and you got people like, Donald Trump is the greatest ginner of what do you call that? Greatest carnival barker there ever was. I mean, this guy could gin up anything. You know what I mean? He just spews his nonsense, but people, these melonheads would buy into it day in, and I'm not saying everybody was a melonhead, but a lot of the people, you look at them, they look like zombies to this guy. And I'm thinking, how can you buy into this bullshit every day? But It's rhetoric, eh? And you just hear it day in and day out. And this guy was, pumping out the rhetoric. I'm sure he was using every kind of subliminal messaging he could. I mean, he's the president of the United States. It's part and parcel of what they do to the whole country. When they put forth a message, they use everything they can to make sure that message hits home. So all the tricks that all your former presidents had to manipulate the public, the masses, he had at his own disposal. Plus all the darker stuff, the stuff that Hitler used, in the Third Reich, that kind of that rhetoric, that ginning. He grabbed whatever. He didn't care, and he just kept on pushing and pushing lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. And your country, half your country, bought into that, and here we are. And they're not escaping that. I mean, we all think Biden got brought in and it's all over now. They're like they're waiting in the reeds right now, all of them, literally all of them. And if because the Congress or because the Senate didn't get rid of him when they could twice, they had two chances and they didn't. They tried to get rid of Hitler, in the early 30s, and they could. The same thing happened. They tried, but he came back again. I mean, he was as offensive as he became in infamy, but he was like that right from the start. And the German Parliament, I don't know what they called it at the time, was it Reichstag or something like that, and he came into that just the same way that the same way that Trump came into the Congress, and he knew how to, like a mobster would. When you come into a business, you take over something. You take over everything. You find out who controls what, and immediately you put pressure on that. So you can gain control. I mean, you're not looking for anything but power, control. Once you have it, then you can, then you can. But I mean, he did it. He made sure he got the Senate Majority's wife as in the cabinet. Chow, I can't remember her first name. I think it was Elizabeth Chow or something like that. But he got McConnell's wife in there. I mean, he was making moves before he was even inaugurated. You know what I mean? As a mobster, he came in there and he made sure to take over as he did, and he did. I mean, he successfully kowtowed. I mean, I've never seen so many people bend to this guy. And would you in real life, if your uncle came into your house and started acting like that, God, it would be a bloody fucking mess. If I had someone like that in my environment, it'd be a bloody fucking mess. How could anybody put up with that kind of fucking nonsense? But the whole country did for 4 fucking years. You cannot dish out negativity and wrong and ill will day in and day out and think it's not going to do anything or go anywhere. He had 4 years of it, plus, prior to that, and now, in absentia. He's still doing it. Because he's lurking. He's there. The threat is still there. They didn't get rid of the threat. So your country is, and our country as well, but I mean, we're battling with the COVID, and my God, the fallout after COVID is going to be horrendous. I mean, we're talking the Great Depression times 1,000, because there's that many more people on the planet since the last time we had such a but I mean we don't even know the end of it yet, because we're still in the middle of it. You know what I mean? But I mean, there's so many industries and sectors of society that are ruined, decimated. There's no recovery. We're talking millions upon millions upon millions of people. Lives are just completely ruined because of this COVID. So what comes next? Well, once we get a handle of this COVID, people are going to need work, and there's not going to be enough work for everybody at the start. And there's one thing that generates work like nobody's business, and that's war. That's where we're headed, folks. I don't know if it's going to be a world war, but it's coming. There's too many countries that are in debt beyond in their own. We are, Canada is, U.S. is, every country to greater or lesser degree is in such debt now that they cannot get out of it. Like it's just we've done so much wrong, and then when a real bad thing hits you, and you don't have enough good karma to carry you through it. We as a whole, humanity does not have good karma. Clearly, we do not have good karma. So we got to find our ways through this mess. I mean, I hope to goodness, the best of us, survive it, and we will. It may take decades, I don't know, but we will. And we rise up again as as an evolved species, people. We no longer see, and I hate to sound like um, corny, but like John Lennon song Imagine. It's like you realize all these things that divide us, we no longer need them anymore. We just don't.
So I got
All right. Thanks for kicking on the couch with us.
couch game.
Thank you.
Yeah, we just started a Discord server thing, whatever you guys told us to start. We started that. A link will be in the description. It is a young baby Discord server, but we are going to build it out over time. So if you want to join, links in the description. And yeah, so.
Young baby. I literally thought you were talking about like a new age rapper. I was like, a young baby Discord. What?
It's probably someone's name. But yeah, let us know what kind of hard bars we missed on this one. And he went hard on this one. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
You didn't miss anything. You brought forth so much in this video
let us know
that
what we missed or your interpretation of the song.
I lost
like, comment,
track
subscribe,
of even knowing
share this
what the
video
video
with
was
someone
about.
who would love
That's
to
how
see it, or someone who needs to see
much
it. That's a wrap.
I don't know.
you brought forth there.
Tell me, man, what do you know? What do you know? Me and my boys on the road. You to go. She told me, boy, you to go. Like, I don't know. But I don't know.
Okay. I think I just lost track a lot through this video, and I don't, I'm not always spot on. My mind isn't always on track. But I have to say this, that watching Brad and Lex is so easy. It's just some people, are just so easy to. They don't need anything. There's no bells and whistles. They don't need it. You see these other reaction videos where there's so many bells and whistles where you're just like, where's the reaction? Where's the honesty? Like, it's like anybody who needs all this other crap to distract you from the fact, they're doing so because they know they can't stand on their own. It's like good music doesn't need, all this crap to all this things, all these things that you see in today's videos, where it's just to distract you from the music itself. Good music, you don't need distraction. You can just listen to it and you're fine. That's what Brad and Lex bring forth. You can listen to them, and they don't need any bells and whistles. They've got their two dogs there beside Brad, and it works for me. I think they're very pleasant and very engaging, and they're very soulful. I wish more relationships were this healthy. I mean, like I've never known a healthy relationship like that with anyone. many of my exes, and it's a lovely thing to watch. I mean, it's. I mean, I'm. We're all privileged, we're blessed, and so to speak, that in today's day and age, that a man like me living in Northern Canada, can connect online to. I don't know where they were. I know they went and visited their family. And I think they're back in their own place now, but I don't know where. I think they're in the Midwest somewhere. And just even though we're not in the same space, we are in each other's face, and it's quite nice. I enjoy it. I really enjoy just watching them and just listening to them, and you can't go wrong subscribing to them. You really can't.